So, ladies and gentlemen, a key central area in what we all do is relationships. And for the next half hour, Taiao Ora, Tangata Ora, a pathway forward that is uniquely Aotearoa, New Zealand. Now, the panel is aiming to take questions as well, so please do use the smartphone app. But let's get the panelists up here who will talk for the next half hour or so. Board Director, Horticulture New Zealand, Dr. Bruce Campbell, who won the Prime Minister's Science Prize for his work on the PSA bacteria in the kiwi fruit industry. The outgoing Chief Executive of Potama, having spent the last 30 years following his passion of working in the areas of Maori self-determination, that's Richard Te Hurinui Jones, and former Fonterra executive who a couple of years ago launched Leafed Foods, aiming to responsibly feed a rapidly growing population while protecting the planet, and that's Maury Leyland. Let's give them a big hand as they come on, ladies and gentlemen.
Te pū, te more, te wehe, te aka, te rea, te wao nui e. Te kune, te whehe, te kokore, te po nui, te poroa. Te po ia whia ia papa atua nuku, kia rangi nui e.
This is a call to action. It's for us, it's for our ancestors, it's for the future generations. It's time to unite, it's time to come together for Taiao, for our families, for our communities, Aotearoa New Zealand and the world.
As Kiwis, we are joined at the hip to our environment, to our land, our water, our atmosphere, our air. Now let's celebrate that.
When you go out into that environment and you sort of take note of your surroundings, you know, what that little scratching was over there, and you sort of observe things, it kind of makes you feel more in tune with the earth, I guess, you know, and nature itself. And like, we're all creatures of nature as well, you know, so tuning into that is very important.
I think we just need to open our hearts to just wanting to care about the earth more, because this is an amazing country. Got all these amazing animals who are, producing this alongside us. So I think we need to be brave and just listen to our heart a bit more.
It's a privilege to be here as a farmer. The more aroha we give back to the land, the wairua, the more the land gives back to us.
I sort of think of our farms like a Rubik's Cube, in that everything is interlinked, and if you make one little change, it affects many other parts of the operation, and that's what Taiao acknowledges.
So whenever we're talking about whakapapa, we as people are never at the beginning. We always talk about our maunga, our awa, first before we talk about ourselves.
Taiao is the environment that contains and surrounds humanity in an interconnected relationship of respect.
It's a concept we can all embrace. It's a concept which is relevant to our unique farming systems, and it's a concept which makes us different in the world, makes us true, makes our farming systems honest, and makes them absolutely unique.
Knowing that I come from a long line of descendants who were courageous, they were fearless, they were innovators, and now we're met with these challenges, I know that if I can grab that wairua that they had, we're going to be good for the future.
I think we really need to respect this environment, because it is the reason that we're here, and we're not here owning this earth. The earth is part of us.
It is time to change our actions and to have the right behaviours to ensure that the voice of Taiao is heard again. This is just
the beginning.
This is Taiao.
This is us.
This is us.
Tihei Maury Ora, ko te me tuatahi kei te mihi ki tā tātou mātua o te Taiao, ko rangi nui e tu iho nei, ko papa tuanuku o tā koto nei. He mihi hoki ki ngā tangata whenua o tēnei whenua ātāhua, wai kato tainui, tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou ki a koutou, nā iwi I tatu mai nei I tēnei rā, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Anei mātou, te rōpū Taiao Ora, Tangata Ora, ki te tū, ki te kōrero ki a koutou I pāna ki tēnei taonga te Taiao. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Kia ora koutou katoa. It's an honour to be here today, and in that I acknowledge mana whenua, I acknowledge our proximity to the mighty Waikato River, and I acknowledge all of you for your roles as stewards of our very fine land. I feel like I'm here today, or we are here today, to talk about what is a natural closing point on some of the messages which have come through every session which I've listened to today. The important opportunity we have before us, and one that I believe that we all want, the opportunity to create a food and fibre sector that's unique to Aotearoa, New Zealand, and places the well-being of the natural world, Te Taiao, at the centre of everything that we do. The opportunity to restore nature, enhance our productive landscapes, raise up our people and communities, and create vibrant, resilient businesses that set a new standard in the marketplace. The opportunity to be good ancestors and leave a positive legacy for our future generations. The opportunity to work together in genuine partnership to realise our sector's full potential. I believe in that potential, and I know many of the farmers, the growers, and many other businesses I've spoken to around the country do too. If we consider for a moment our own and humanity's current predicament, in a relatively short space of time, we've put enormous pressure on Te Taiao. We have a responsibility to change that. We cannot wait, and we must act with urgency to deal with the issues that we're facing. And that is why I focus on enduring change as our only viable option. We must break the pattern of short-term gains and tinkering around the edges. The scale of the challenges we face requires nothing less. There is an urgency to protect our livelihoods and the long-term viability of our businesses. Our standing in the marketplace all depends on the health and well-being of the natural world here in our place, Aotearoa, New Zealand, and of our people. We'll need the courage to carve out a different pathway where our horticultural businesses truly reflect who we are, and that will require new conversations that are centred on the well-being of Te Taiao and are conducted with respect and understanding, one that works from the aspirations that we all share and brings together the best of our knowledge systems and our ability to act to bring about the transformation that is needed. We have a very proud history of working on the land and water to produce some of the world's finest food. The food and drink that we grow, make, craft are unique to our whenua and valued by people worldwide. Te Taiao has been good to us. Our rich natural resources have provided us with remarkable opportunities, and we have certainly made the most of them. But we all know the environment's under pressure. We also feel the pressure of regulation, and that is getting its share of airtime at the moment. But that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is a coalition of willing, like-minded businesses, organisations, individuals working together to bring the natural world back into balance. Is that enough? Of course not. But we should never underestimate how small actions can become large. And as our athletes are showing, our small country has the ability to have a loud voice on the world stage. After all, not only are we connected to each other, we're intertwined with the land and the water, and we have a unique relationship with the world from here. As both beneficiaries and custodians of Te Taiao, it is our responsibility to act in a way that gives life and restores balance, because when Te Taiao is healthy, we are healthy.
So you've heard this word Taiao mentioned a few times today, and Taiao Ora means the well-being of the natural world. When you break it down, as we often do with Māori kupu or words, Taiao represents Tai, the horizon where heaven and earth meet, Ao, the world around, above and below us. Therefore, Taiao is the natural world that contains and surrounds us. The land, water, climate, and living beings. It refers to the interconnection of people and nature. In Māoridom we say, ko au te taiao, ko te taiao ko au. I am nature and nature is me. It's an internal relationship of respect, reciprocity and interdependence. This worldview is inherent to Māori, but we all share this connection with Te Taiao in our own way. We know that when nature thrives, so too do our people, communities and businesses. Our shared understanding of Te Taiao unites and guides us as we forge a new way forward for Aotearoa New Zealand's food and fibre sector. We call this pathway Taiao Ora, so that the mana of Te Taiao remains at the centre of everything we do. The framework for Taiao Ora is simple, and it contains 4 pou, or pillars, that we must consider in our decision making. And these are wai, or water, ahurangi, or climate, koi ora, living beings, and whenua, land. The principles that guide us as kaitiaki, or stewards of Te Taiao, are around the natural world must be able to thrive without overuse. Any use is a privilege, not a right. If something is not healthy or well, we must fix it. If you think of Te Taiao as a living being, and in fact this has been recognised through acts such as the Te Ora Act of 2014 and the Whanganui River Act of 2017, where the whenua and awa, or land and river, are recognised and have the same rights as living beings. So when we think of Te Taiao as a living being, we then start to frame the conversation differently. And we need to. Too much of our activity is preoccupied with extractive and dominating relationship to the land. Being good kaitiaki requires a shift in this thinking, and if we get this right, we have a story and a way of being that will help strengthen our standing in the global marketplace. But the story must be good and it must be true. These concepts and ideas are natural to us as Māori, and in my experience, they resonate strongly with others and hopefully with many of you in this hui. We all have our own ways of relating to and being with the natural world. By putting these stories and behaviours at the heart of what we do, we are closing the gap between who we say we are and what we do. It's a way of aligning what we do in our businesses, catchments, and in the marketplace with our values, our deep connection to the land, our pride in making high quality produce with integrity, and our desire to be good ancestors. Despite our best efforts though, our values are often not reflected in the health of our land, waterways, climates, or living communities today, but we will change that. To deliver on the idea of healthy climate and communities, a group of passionate Māori and Pākehā food and fibre leaders have come together to form Taiao Ora, Tangata Ora. This is a collaborative initiative to build a food and fibre sector that's unique and valuable to Aotearoa New Zealand and the world. This group is chaired by John Rodwell and Miriana Stevens, who you saw in the video, and they've been involved in this kaupapa right from the outset. Other steering group members, some of whom you may know, myself, Maury, who's just spoken, Rob Hewitt, Warwick Taufari George, Stephanie Howard and Mavis Mullins. We have engaged a range of experts to design the program, pathways and tools to take this concept and turn it into an action plan for the next 10 years. This work is underpinned by a treaty partnership model which runs throughout the entire program structure. Māori and Pākehā are working together to develop something unique for Aotearoa New Zealand. Te Taiao is not about a simulation or everyone saying or thinking in the same way. Central to the success of Te Taiao Ora will be the idea that everyone has their own story and their own whakapapa with this place. If we get it right, Te Taiao Ora will be an opportunity for everyone to develop a strong connection and relationship with Te Taiao and to inspire better practice and a better outcome for the natural world. An important component of realising this is ensuring that the voice of Te Taiao is heard throughout the process. That must be first priority, and we have created a structure to allow for the voice of Te Taiao to come through in all decision making through assigning designated voices to speak for our 4 po or pillars of wai, water, ahurangi, climate, whenua, land, and koe ora, living beings. Our aspiration for Te Taiao is not just to create another brand or PR exercise, it's to create a way of doing that makes us stand out and secures a sustainable future for the food and fibre sector as the world changes around us.
I'm hugely excited about this program, and I think you could see from the emotion from some of the young people in the intro video that we played just how passionate people are feeling about this issue. And in a way, this pulls together a number of the messages and elements that we've been hearing in the conference that we've had here over the last 2 days. We've had a very strong call to action. We've also heard the need for people in the way that they think and act to be resilient and to be able to take on change. And it feels like we're at a stage where people are really seeking ways of doing and being that are different. And that's the real appeal of this program. It's about looking after ourselves today and creating a better world for future generations. The reality in this program is that we don't have all the answers of how to do this yet. And the stage that we're at right now is that we're rolling out a whole lot of design activities across various sectors in the food and fibre sector, across various participants in Aotearoa, New Zealand, to look for those solutions. We're preparing an action plan with growers and businesses, and that's going to be rolled out and implemented starting in 2022. We're partway through those design workshops now, and a number of you in the room are actually active participants in those. That's involving growers, it's involving the value chain, and it's got to look out to the market. And Maury, for example, and Hilton, who's joined us here on the stage, who you were listening to earlier on today, are active participants in this design process as practitioners to be able to find these better ways of doing things. I just reiterate, this is a business-led initiative. It's not a telling, it's not a set of rules, it's actually an invitation to come and join something really exciting and new. And a key element, I think, that runs through the whole thing, it's actually about relationships, 2 key relationships. It's about the relationship of people to nature, and it's also about people to people. And a key part of that actually is the relationship between Māori and non-Māori, coming together to share knowledge, to address challenges that we face that are far bigger than us, that are actually global challenges, and new ways of thinking are actually needed, problems that are bigger than us all. So there's a number of elements that we've currently got in the design focus. A big one is actually how to get value from this, from consumers who are willing to share in this journey and actually support the development of this new way of doing things here. There's a redesign of value chains, there's a redesign of on-farm practice, there's a big behaviour change element in this, of understanding how to support people to make change. And there's a measurement and validation component as well. If you want to be part of this, I'd really encourage you to visit our website and make contact with the team that's rolling this out. If you're excited to be part of this, get in touch with us and let's find a way that we can introduce your voice to this conversation too. Thank you.
Well, thank you to the panel. We do have a couple of minutes for questions. If there are any, can we bring up the speaker app on the screen and just see whether or not there are any questions for the panel? No, nothing. In fact, I'm getting the sign that there are no questions for the panel. You've obviously covered everything so expertly well that everybody is happy. So thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's farewell them with a big round of applause. We've got Dr. Bruce Campbell, Richard Te Hurinui Jones, Maury Leyland, Hilton Collier up here as well, working together in partnership to address the critical challenges that you face and offering wider possibilities as an approach beyond your industry as well.